Next time on Startup, we're going to Sharpsburg, Pennsylvania to talk to Josephine and Gaston, who created La Dorita, a business that produces the Argentinian delicacy Dulce De Leche. Then we head to Washington, D.C. to talk to Cynthia, who started Cirque Du Rouge, a tattoo shop that's catching international attention. And last, we stop in Chicago, Illinois to meet with Desiree and Ethan, who created Give Forward, the first ever crowdfunding site that focuses on medical needs. All of this and more is next on Startup.
The entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well. In Walsh College's business launch entrepreneurial community, consultants provide advice to aspiring business starters. More information available online.
The Chevrolet Volt, an everyday electric car with gas for longer trips. The nature of things to come. Chevrolet, find new roads.
American Express is proud to support Startup and the millions of small businesses that put in the hard work to be open for business in neighborhoods across the country.
My name is Gary Brado, and I'm a documentary filmmaker and an entrepreneur. The economy is in less than perfect shape, and when the jobs go away, there's nothing left to do but get up and get creative. And there are people all over America doing just that. It's estimated that up to 85% of new businesses fail. So I'm going coast to coast to hear the personal stories of the people who beat the odds and started a successful business from the ground up. This is Startup. I'm on Main Street in Sharpsburg, Pennsylvania. We're gonna go talk to Josephine and Gaston, who started La Dorita. Based on her grandmother's recipe back in Argentina, Dulce De Leche is often mistaken for caramel. We're gonna go find out how they took this from the home to Whole Foods and somehow ended up starting a kitchen share in the process. Let's go find out. Dulce De Leche is a popular South American confection, which can commonly be found in pantries throughout the continent and used to accompany an assortment of sweet treats. The most basic recipe calls for slow, simmering milk and sugar, stirring almost constantly. Although the barriers of entry are extremely high in the independent specialty food market, Josephine and Gaston found something that they truly loved and put everything they had into creating this locally produced dessert spread. So I see you have a jar of Dulce De Leche. Not bad?
Not bad.
Okay.
Not bad.
This is a perfect example of a local food producer.
Absolutely. I love to be able to present that in the shop and introduce our customers to the amazing products that are here in Pittsburgh.
We make all natural Dulce De Leche products, and they're named after my grandmother, Dorita, who used to visit me as a child from Argentina and just made incredible food, always from scratch, real simple food.
In Argentina, you actually you eat these regularly. Every morning or whatever, you have toast with dulce de leche. I mean,
it's not
normal.
for special occasions, you know. It's on the breakfast table every day.
We started making this in our kitchen.
Okay.
And, for us, and then we started trying it, and it was really good.
It had taken us about 1.5 years to really get the recipe down. And then once we got it, friends started asking us to make it. That's when we decided, what do we do with this? So we decided maybe we'll try to sell it.
We started going to farmers market, and it was great.
We met someone from Whole Foods.
Wow.
We got a meeting with a buyer, and there was only one Whole Foods here in Pittsburgh at the time, and they were proposing that we actually sell in their farmers markets that they have on weekends. And we actually said to them, we just don't have the time, but this is where we want to be. So let us in on your shelves, and they did. And it was great, because I can't tell you how many people said to us, you'll never get on a supermarket shelf.
Do you have to sell a certain number in order to get shelf space? I mean, do they move you one store at a time, or do they just shove you into regions? How does it work?
Really, to get into Whole Foods, we got in front of the right buyer, and we didn't really have to sell. There were no quotas. Our first orders were just 1 case, and then that got up to 4 or 6 cases at a time.
The invention of Dulce De Leche was purely accidental, with some tracing the origin back to the days of Napoleon. Legend says that Napoleon soldiers inordinately created Dulce De Leche when they burned the milk and sugar. So when you first started the company, how was it? What were the costs associated with it? Let's get into the numbers and the business of of making, of starting a company, essentially?
Our costs were pretty hefty. I would say about
Really?
$30,000.
Okay.
Because we had to overcome a very large hurdle of creating a certified kitchen in our home. And that took about 14 months. We had to get variance licenses from starting with our municipality, then with the Department of Agriculture, and then with the Department of Health.
Was that from your own personal savings, or did you get a loan?
We got a home equity loan.
You did? Okay. Okay, so you borrowed off your home and believed in the idea enough to put your house up for it for the most part.
Right.
Is this a kitchen share? You guys own this kitchen?
Yeah,
It's your space?
we bought last year. We bought the building. The kitchen was totally stripped completely.
Okay.
Was a space. So what we did, we were debating what to do. So we filled this with all the equipment, and we decided to go with a kitchen share program. So
Okay, so that's another revenue stream. That's more ways to make money. You
That
rent
is-
the kitchen
that
out
is
when you're
correct.
not doing Dulce De Leche.
that was exactly the way. The big one is this. To get approved for some of the things, we took us like a year.
Wow.
So now, all the stuff you can actually share with these people. So it's not only that they come here and they can cook or whatever, rent the kitchen for that, but also they have all this know-how that we share with them. I mean, it's like, you go way faster.
Well, we went to the Pittsburgh Public Market. We thought that we wanted to start a business there. And we found out that you can't cook these foods in your own kitchen. You have to have a commercial kitchen.
So what they've done is they've kind of paved a way for you to be able to get past a lot of the red tape that you probably wouldn't have been able to get past a few years ago.
The cost of the kitchen, the equipment we would need for it.
We couldn't
all the
afford to build our own
regulations.
commercial kitchen and to do this.
Always been a bottleneck.
The global confectionery industry is estimated to reach $176 billion by 2018. What portion of your business is e-commerce right now, like on a 100% scale? 10% e-commerce, 90% retail?
I would say about 5%.
5%.
The challenge with the internet is that the shipping costs almost more than the product. The minimum we sell in is 3 jars, because otherwise it just doesn't make sense. Yeah.
For the customer.
Sweet.
This is actually Dulce De Leche. That's what it is. So now what we're going to do, we'll mix it a little bit just to, that, believe it or not, is going to get very thick whenever it gets cold.
So it doesn't have to be refrigerated, it just has to be at room temp to cool down.
Correct. Well, it has sugar. It's like a jelly. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. It has the proportion of sugar that it has makes it a preserved.
You guys, I quit. I'm in the Dulce De Leche business.
You know what? Don't yet. I mean, believe me, it's not that fun.
Awesome. So now I can.
Be careful, you're going to get burned.
Okay.
You put it that.
Nicely capped. Okay.
Make sure that it's,
And flip.
and flip it.
And that's
it. You're part of the business now, man.
That's it. That's
Love
it. Thank you so much. I appreciate
No
it.
problem, no problem.
We've been in this for 3 years. We've learned so much. We've come across people who have helped us, and we've come across others who haven't. But most of them have. And if we can give that back and help someone launch in 3 weeks, which took us 14 months, then it's incredible. We have 5 tenants right now, and we have 2 that are already licensed.
Dulce De Leche can be a sticky business, but with a product like this, word can spread quickly. This is just another example of sweet success. And the recipe this time is a lot of heart, a lot of soul, a little bit of milk, a little bit of sugar, and all your dreams in both life and in business can come true. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for La Dorita. I'm on 8th Street in Washington, D.C., and we're going to talk to Cynthia and John, who created Cirque Du Rouge Tattoo Parlor. Now, Cynthia was a corporate art director until she was 37 years old, and although she had never even picked up a tattoo gun, she decided to leave her job and pursue her lifelong dream of tattooing. Let's go hear their story. Tattoos have become a prevalent form of expression in our society, with 1 in 5 U.S. adults possessing at least one. Americans are spending approximately $1.65 billion annually on the tattoo industry, and that figure seems to be on the incline. Cynthia Regis, the self-proclaimed illustrator, wife, sister, and soccer mom, discovered her true passion in her late 30s when she gave her first tattoo. And now, she's the owner of an internationally recognized tattoo shop. I want to know who you are and a little bit about your history. Tell me back from your education in through your employment history.
I'm old, so this might take a while, but education, I mean, you know, the typical American education, you know, grade school, high school, went on to college. I went to Roger Williams to study graphic design and illustration. Graduated from Roger Williams, and then I started working with either printing, mostly in publishing. So I was either doing graphic design layout, photo editing, you know, back in the day before there was computers, actually waxing galleys, cutting them out, typesetting, getting those real basics down for design work. I worked my way through publishing up to an art director. It was a wonderful job, but once you get to that point, the creativity, the old hand drawing, all the stuff that I really, really loved, that was gone. It was then I started freelancing as an illustrator and doing fine art, making prints. And that's actually how I got into tattooing. Was some of my artwork was bought by a husband and wife who also owned a tattoo shop. This one couple asked me if I want to come work for them, and I was terrified. It was a biker-owned shop. You know, just everything that you see in a typical tattoo shop, that rah, 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 music playing, and I walked in, I'm like, I'm never gonna survive this. But they did it right. They had a safe shop, they were respectful to people, they were very nice to their clients, and they taught me the right way to tattoo.
At the end of the day, people may look at that and be fearful, but it's a business. They don't just get off, put on a do-rag, get on the bike and ride around for 24 hours till they come back to work.
With all their tattoo money flying behind them. No, it doesn't work like that. They have to pay their mortgage, they have to pay their rent, they have to take care of people. Otherwise, that's the thing about a tattoo, it's a product that lasts forever. My reputation goes on your skin forever. The one thing I love about tattooing, you meet new people every day. In an office, you love your office mates, but it's the same people every day. It's the same thing every day. Tattoo shop, you never know what's gonna walk through that door.
In 2008, the average hourly rate per artist was $120, and it has climbed to an average of $150 an hour in 2012. How does it feel coming in? Because you have to be, I've sat in a chair myself a couple of times, like it's your close quarters.
Yeah, well, I kind of look at this as a spa treatment. This is a day off for me, and I have to spend it getting stuck with needles, but I always have a good time here. They're always a lot of fun. I always talk with everybody, and so it makes an enjoyable experience. So
yeah, I started working in the tattoo shop when I was 18, so about 10 years in the shop at this stage.
And how does working here compare to other shops?
It's not a factory, and I really enjoy that. Business-oriented, of course, very professional, though it's not, you know, money over art, and I appreciate that as an artist.
You being a career military person, and with her meeting art director, what did you think when she said, I want to start doing tattoos?
You know, it kind of seemed like an adventure. There was a kind of a space between when she left her job with the publisher and she was doing freelance, but it was so labor intensive and the return was so small. And in this type of business, you know, people bring cash. It's attractive enough and it pays up front. So, you know, our margin is actually pretty good.
Have you let her tattoo yet?
Yeah, it's Eagle Globe and Anchors.
The Iceman, the world's oldest mummy dating back to the Neolithic era, was found to have tattoos. After an X-ray examination, scientists discovered that his tattoos were placed over areas of joint disease, suggesting the tattoos were meant to relieve pain.
My husband, John, who's also a part owner, made me come up with a business plan because, you know, being an artist, you're just, I just want to draw and tattoo and I have, you know, my clients come in, but have people that don't want to wait forever to still have the same kind of cool place that I want to work in and they can just walk in. But John said, no, you need to write a business plan. So I did, which was painful, but totally necessary and probably the cornerstone of building.
Made you think about a lot.
Really think about moving forward with this. And was it really going to work? Putting it on paper makes you think about, is this concept going to work? And the more I put it on paper, the more I believed in it. Then we went to do what you need to do in DC, which is to get a representative. We live in Maryland. You need to have a representative that lives in the city. So we got a great attorney who specializes in small business. That is probably the other amazing, great thing that we did, which you would never think hiring a lawyer, that'd be great, but I'm so glad we did, because he knew the ins and outs of working with the city, which was a good thing because it turned out that this building had not had a certificate of occupancy since 1946.
Oh, wow.
When it was a boarding house. We went about getting all our paperwork and then went about letting the city back in this building after all those years to tell us what needed to be done. And boy, did that turn into a process. But it was worth it. You know, we had a nest egg put aside to do this, but there were no loans to be taken out. I mean, if there was any loan to be taken out, it would just be a personal line of credit.
The initial capital came out of your savings?
Initial capital, no. No, the initial capital for this was left to me by my father. My dad, God bless him, you know, he worked hard all his life. One of the things he did was he paid on a small insurance policy in my name that I didn't even know about. But then all those additional costs of build out, that was nowhere covered by that. We had to kind of dig deep. John works 2 jobs. We had to dig into our personal savings, but it was worth it.
What do you have to say to the person who's already established in their career, mid-30s, mid-40s even? They've done it for a long time, but always had this itch in the back of their mind.
Don't burn your bridges because you just never know what's going to happen. You may need to retreat back. But I think a lot of people, you know, always look for the opportunity to be able to have their own business and call their own shots. You know, and it's a risk, but don't be afraid to take a risk.
It's never too late to finally be who you've always been. And once Cynthia and John put their visions in ink, everything started to come together. They've created a world-class business here, and so can you, as long as you're willing to put enough skin in the game. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for Cirque Du Rouge. I'm at 6 Points on North Damon Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. And today we're going to go talk to Desiree and Ethan, who started GiveForward.com. GiveForward.com was actually the first for-profit crowdfunding site, and their focus is on helping people to fill in the gaps with extensive medical bills. So let's go in and talk to them and hear this heartfelt story. With the rising cost of healthcare in the United States, those seeking treatment can acquire unmanageable amounts of debt. An American Heart Association annual survey revealed that more than 18 million people visit hospitals annually, and the average length of stay is 5 days with an average cost of $1,700 per day. Desiree and Ethan wanted to create a product or service that brings value to the world. It resulted in a medical crowdfunding website that brings people together to support those in need of financial assistance. So thanks a lot for letting us come in and intrude on your work day today.
It's our pleasure.
I want to start with hearing about you as a person. Tell me about your history in education, in business. Just tell me about you personally.
Sure, so I really actually don't have a business background at all. I was a Latin American studies major, so more of a liberal arts background, but I knew through college that I really wanted to do something that was like giving back, and so my first job out of college was actually working at the Kauffman Foundation in Kansas City, helping fund entrepreneurship programs at colleges and universities. And then it was actually while I was at the foundation that I got the idea for Give Forward, the very early part of the idea. Hurricane Katrina hit, and I was just really frustrated that there wasn't an easy way for people to give directly to people trying to rebuild. And I thought, this is crazy. Like, if small-scale donors are the backbone of American philanthropy, but they don't have a say in where their money goes, there should be something that allows people to do that.
Tell me about your history and how this whole concept came into play that she's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, I was doing a fundraiser for a marathon. I was raising money for children's cancer. My dad passed away from cancer when I was a kid, and I was in law school and realized I was just having a lot more fun raising money than I was being a lawyer. And so I was thinking, this is crazy though, that you can only raise money for like the 25 charities in the marathon. Why can't you raise money for whatever cause is important to you? So I was probably going to be a lawyer until I got that phone call saying, hey, you should call up Desiree, and she's starting this thing that, you know, is really similar to what you wanted to try. So.
And tell me about your the first stages of getting this started.
I did some interviews with different firms just to see how much it would cost to do a website like ours. We got bids from like $7,000 to like $170,000.
Wow.
And that obviously was too much money for us at the time. I put 10,000 of it came from a Prosper loan, like a micro lending site, and then another 10,000 went on credit cards, and then the rest I was kind of like working off, you know, as I went as a waitress.
So you took your own money. Was it savings, or did you have to borrow it from friends or family? Or
from my dad when he passed away, so I had a little bit of savings that I had, and I used that and actually turned something bad into something that turned out to be really good.
So basically you take a percentage off of the funds that are raised to cover operating costs, expenses, that type of thing?
In the nonprofit sector, it can get up to 40%, but in the crowdfunding space, it usually is between 8 and 12%.
Okay.
And the way that we handle our funds, we're able to negotiate a better rate with credit card companies. So we net about a little over 5%. And we're able to keep the costs lower for our users.
Paint some pictures for me about who this benefits and why, and how do people actually find out about it to make it a useful tool for them.
The main use case for our site are people going through an illness or an injury. Most of them are actually cancer. It's for all the friends and family who are sitting around wondering, what can I do to help? And he'll feel helpless, and all of a sudden they have this tool to let that person know, the person that they love, know that they're not in this alone. So they start the page, they send it out to friends and family, and they spread the word on social media. We get to help people every day, and we interact a lot with our users, and we touch their lives, and they send us these notes that say hey, we don't know what we would have done without this site. And so again, it's you take something bad that happened, and all of a sudden there's this positivity around it. So I couldn't think of anything more fulfilling. We used to say that we would do this job for free, and the fact that we get paid to do it is just the cherry on top. And so it's great, yeah, I couldn't think of anything better.
For-profit fundraising companies generate revenue by charging fees for each donation and campaign affiliated with their company. And because of this, they cannot hold a 501c3 or nonprofit status. So we're with the offices of GiveForward.com right now. We're going to go up and just find out and see what some of the people here are doing.
I think one of the best parts about working at GiveForward is the range of people you help is so different. So it can be anything from parent fundraising to pay for an iPad because their child has autism and they want to help them communicate, to someone who's raising money for a life-saving kidney transplant. We can absolutely, all of us, say that every day we come to work, we're doing something that helps save and change lives, which is really cool.
What's the largest social media campaign that you've really seen one of the fundraisers get behind?
We had a fundraiser for a couple who were unfortunately injured in the Boston Marathon bombings, and their profile just went completely viral because they were newlyweds. They were really active in running clubs, both on the East Coast and the West Coast. So we saw so much traffic around that fundraiser, and it was very moving.
In 2012, the average gifted amount online was $31.96. How has social media been able to impact your reach?
So I don't think this business or any crowdfunding business at all could exist without social media, and I'm sure all crowdfunding platforms are very similar to that. And so without that, I just don't think we'd even be here.
Tell me one of those early stories of the first few people that you were able to really make an impact on. I want to hear how that felt.
For me, one of the early success stories that was my favorite really showed the emotional support that happens on GiveForward pages. And it was for a man who was in his early 40s, a father of two who was passing away from prostate cancer, and they knew he was going to pass away. But on the GiveForward page, they were able to raise $22,000 for the kids' college funds.
Wow.
But the main impact really of that page was the 200 messages that came from all of his coworkers over the last 20 years who left these amazing messages of what a wonderful person he was. And so that family really got to celebrate his life before he passed away in a way that usually only happens afterward. So it was really powerful for us.
For somebody else who's sitting out there and they're watching you and inspired by this story, what advice would you give to them for, let's say that they're underemployed, unemployed, or just unhappy in their current career? What do you say to them?
Desiree has a magnet on her refrigerator that says "Leap and the net will appear." And I think the hardest thing about startups is always, it's not running the startup, it's actually having the guts to start it, and it just gets easier and easier and easier once you do it. Right. And you have that initial inertia that slows you down, but once you get started, it's hard to stop.
What you guys are doing is hugely important, so thank you for taking the time to talk about it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Desiree and Ethan may technically be in the crowdfunding business, but what they do on a daily basis is actually save lives. One fundraising campaign can bring thousands of people together to help someone in need. So the question is not whether to give or to receive, but to follow our heart and just get involved. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for GiveForward.
One of the things that trip up a lot of entrepreneurs is that they haven't developed a network around them to help them get access to customers, to access to capital, to get access to the best talent in the area. And so you want to make sure that you're connected to people early in the process that become fans of the business, even as it changes and develops. So get off the couch, make something happen, go do it, stop watching this already, and get your idea going.
Next time on Startup, we head to Indianapolis, Indiana to chat with Bev, who created Happy Dog Hotel and Spa, a pet facility with 5-star treatment. Then we travel to Cleveland, Ohio to meet with Al Baker from Bubba Q's world-famous barbecue and catering, the NFL player turned rib innovator. And last, we stop in Detroit, Michigan to speak with Roger, who created Train Like a Savage, a no-holds-barred workout regimen that trains both your body and your mind. All of this and more is next on Startup. If you want to know more about Startup, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Visit our website at pbs.org/startup. What do you call organic food? What did they call organic food in 1950?
No idea.
Food.
Exactly. Exactly.
American Express is proud to support Startup and the millions of small businesses that put in the hard work to be open for business in neighborhoods across the country.
The Chevrolet Volt, an everyday electric car with gas for longer trips. The nature of things to come. Chevrolet, find new roads.
The entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well. In Walsh College's business launch entrepreneurial community, consultants provide advice to aspiring business starters. More information available online